Hey, my name is Brian Wall with worshiptutorials.com and brianwallmusic.com. Today we're going to learn all of the major chords that you would use in the key of G. So in the last lesson we talked about how to hold the guitar and how to play our first chord, which is a D. So if you don't know how to read chord charts and chord diagrams and you don't know how to put your fingers on the fretboard just like you're supposed to, click over to that other video. There's a link below, and I might just put a link right up in this video so you can click right through to it, and it'll show you how to do that. And you'll need that foundation before we can get into this lesson, and we're going to learn 3 more chords in addition to the D that you just learned. So let's get started. The key of G. The 4 chords we're going to learn are G, sounds like this, C, D, and E minor. If you know these 4 chords, you can play a ton of songs, and you can play a lot of worship songs. I'm a worship leader in North Carolina, and I do lots of tutorial videos about how and teach you how to play worship songs. And if you head over to worshiptutorials.com, you'll get all the diagrams of how to play these chords, and I'll also put in a bunch of links there of songs that you can already start playing that I teach you how to play using these 4 chords. Let's start with a G. So here's the chord diagram. Let's take our second, I like to start from the top and go down to the bottom. So second finger on the 3rd fret. Second finger, 3rd fret, E string. Take your first finger and put it on the A string, second from the top, on the 2nd fret. So you have second finger, 3rd fret on the E string, first finger, 2nd fret on the A string. Now you take your 3rd and 4th finger and put them both on the 3rd fret, and your 3rd finger goes on the D on the B string, second from the bottom, and your 4th finger goes on the high E string at the very bottom. So you've got 3, 2, open, open, 3, 3. Now this is a different variation from the G major. I'm not even exactly sure what it's called. This is the G that I play almost all the time when I play a G, and I like the way it sounds better. Technically a G major is that, and it's the same as what we just learned. You would just take your 3rd finger off so that B string would be open. But I like to play with this 4-finger version, so that's what I'm going to teach you. The next chord we're going to play is a C. So don't move anything on the G chord, and just take your 2nd and 1st finger and move them down 1 string. So now our 2nd finger is on the 3rd fret of the A string, and our 1st finger is on the 2nd fret of the D string. So it's mute. Remember that little X on top of the string means mute. So mute, 3, 2, open, 3, 3. So playing between G and C is really easy because all you do is move 2 fingers. And here's C. And the key to being fast and fluid with your chord changes is to move your fingers as little as possible. So when you're changing between chords and you don't have to move these fingers off, don't take them off. This is good. See that little switch? This is bad. See how they all came off? You don't want to do that. You want to keep on your fingers on as much as possible. Now you're going to try and take them off. I've seen guitar players, when they learn to play guitar, they just kind of instinctively do this, because I think what happens is your mind thinks, your brain says, we're switching chords, we've got to figure out where to put all our fingers, so we're going to reset everything and then put them back. You'll learn over time as you start playing different progressions that some fingers don't move very much. And so these 3 and 4 fingers kind of stay put. So now we've got G, now we've got C. Now next is going to be D, and you learned that one in the last video, so I'm going to go over it again. One thing you might notice is this 3rd finger doesn't move. It's on the same place on the D. So we'll take off our 1 and 2 fingers and our 4th finger. So now our 3rd finger is left on the B string on the 3rd fret. Put your first finger down on the G string, 2nd fret, and your second finger down on the high E string, 2nd fret. So you've got mute. That's supposed to be a mute, but I like to let it ring on the A string. So mute, open, open, 3, 2, 3. Remember in the last lesson, I said it kind of makes a little triangle. Alright, the last chord we're going to learn is an E minor, and I think this is the easiest chord that you start out learning. And all you do is there's several ways you can play this, but I'm going to show you the way I like to play it. Take your 2 and 3 finger and stick them together like this, and put them both on the 2nd fret on the A and the D string. So now you've got open, 2, 2, open, open, open. And you let that low E ring out, because that note E is in the chord E minor. One thing to note is you're not going to be able to have your fingers like in a straight line. They're kind of on a diagonal like this. If you can see that, you can see how they're not straight up and down on top of each other. They're kind of diagonal, and that's fine. When you play these chords, you want to make sure that your fingers are as close to the fret that they're supposed to be behind as possible. So you don't want there to be a whole bunch of space between your finger and the fret, if you can see that. You want to get them as close as possible. That's because the further back they are, the string doesn't ring out very well. And you get it closer, and it rings out better. So there you have it. 4 chords in the key of G. G, C, D, E minor. One little note about playing songs in this key that I do a lot that makes them a little bit easier to play is your 3 and your 4 finger. You can leave them on the 3rd fret of the B and the E string for all of these chords. So G, C, D. And to do that, you just take your index finger and put it on the G string, 2nd fret. So you're open, mute, open, open, 2, 3, 3 instead of 2. And then to play E minor, leave these 2 fingers and play the E minor with your 1 and 2 fingers instead of your 2 and 3 fingers. So your 1 finger would go on the A string, 2nd fret, and your 2 finger would go on the D string, 2nd fret. It is good to learn. It took me a long time to learn to be able to do this. So if you're just starting out, it's good to learn to play chords with different fingers. So you can play, for example, you can play E minor with 1 and 2, or you can play 2 and 1, or you can play 2 and 3, or you can play 3 and 4. It just depends on where you're going next, and you choose which finger combination makes it easier to switch back and forth. So when I leave these 2 fingers on, I play E minor with my 1 and 2 finger. When I don't leave these 2 fingers on, I usually play it with my 2 and 3 finger. I hope that's not confusing. Just play around with it until you get it and you see what I'm talking about. And down the road, you'll pick this up eventually. So it's a good thing to start out doing it early, but it makes switching between chords easier and faster. Remember, the way to practice these is to play the chord or fret the chord like you're supposed to, strum it, then pick each string individually. Remember, if it sounds like this, that is okay. When you're just getting started, it's gonna do that. Just keep practicing and it'll be fine. Just strum it, pick it, then move to the next chord. Strum it, pick it, move to the next chord, and keep on going. The next lesson, we're going to learn 4 chords in a different key. We'll probably overlap a chord or 2, but that's okay. Eventually, what you're going to learn is all of the chords that you're going to use to play in the regular keys that you play guitar in. And when you use a capo, then you'll be able to play virtually anything. So head over to worshiptutorials.com if you have any questions. You can ask me in the comments. I will gladly answer them for you. Like I said, we have chord diagrams over there so you can see exactly how to fret these chords just like they're supposed to be. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.